I sold everything. Well, kind of. I then bought it back rather quickly and then some. I really think this is good panic selling and hopefully a bottom of the market. It's really nice to see today's price action and hopefully it catches itself and continues on. Stick around, this should be a good video.
Want to make your money work harder? Enjoy another video with Adam Kahn, the rational investor on stocks, real estate, and crypto. Subscribe now for your weekly dose of investment insights and hopefully learn a thing or two.
Now, I'd been nibbling all the way down and finally had the market where it even scared me a bit, which is kind of why I say that's good panic. Typically, I don't let the markets make me nervous. I just kind of stick around for the ups and downs. But with all the news about the tariffs and all the scary stuff out there, like some other people, I decided it was time to cover. And then I thought, this is exactly what you look for. Those are the opportunities. When all the selling comes in and the analysts are saying, I just wait a little bit longer to get a confirmation that a bottom is in, typically that's when the bottoms are in. Now, don't get me wrong, markets can follow through and we could have another leg to the downside and it could get pretty ugly, but typically it doesn't. So that's why I like to buy when everybody else is selling. I also decided to take a look at my set it and forget it account, and I'm down close to 20%. Now, I didn't do the math, so I don't know exactly what it's down, but it was a big percentage or a big amount of dollars. And just like anybody else, I don't like to see that either. But that was kind of what made me settle down and recognize maybe it's time to buy instead of worrying about it, because that doesn't come around very often. And it happened in a short amount of time. And I can tell from the volatility index and everything else that there's some nervousness out there. And I want to be buying from nervousness when I'm looking to make trades. And what did I buy? I bought all the things that were doing well before. Because if it's not a real recession and we don't have a major slowdown, the things that are doing bad or were doing well before should be what starts doing well again. So I bought Amazon, I bought Google, I bought nvda, and I bought Meta. They're also the ones that I'm the most heavily weighted in my set it and forget it account, which is why it corrected so much. So kind of have to take the good with the bad and recognize on drawdowns, I may have bigger than expected drawdowns, but when the market goes higher, I tend to do pretty well because I'm pretty heavily invested into those companies. Interestingly enough, one of the people who watches the channel mentioned Abercrombie and Fitch, so I took a look at that and I kind of liked the valuation, and I bought 100 shares of Abercrombie and Fitch as well. Now, I'm still down a little bit of money on it, and I put it in my trading account because I tend not to buy things that aren't what's on my radar that I'm watching, which is why that'll make it a good segue to say everybody should do their research. You need to do your own research and not listen to me. I'm just a guy on YouTube sharing the things that I do, and you really shouldn't make trades or financial decisions based on anything that I share. In fact, I don't think you should make those decisions based on anybody on YouTube. I think you should do your own research or reach out to a financial advisor. Now, I really liked where Abercrombie and Fitch was looking in terms of valuation. They've had a huge drawdown, but their ratios look good. Their growth opportunities look good. So I saw it as an okay opportunity. Again, I still bought it higher than where it's trading today, but I'm pretty comfortable with the trade. And I guess we'll see how it plays out. Now, the one other that I forgot to mention that I put on was Netflix. And I'll share with you because I started with a pretty big position, and I'll probably do a YouTube short saying I bought Netflix, that I actually bought 50 shares. Now, why did I start with such a big position in Netflix? Because it's something I wanted to own for a while now. And when I was thinking about it, I have my own theories of why it should be a little recession proof and what I like about the company. So, here we go. So, first of all, Netflix, while it's trading at an elevated valuation in my mind, it isn't outrageously elevated for how quickly it's growing. It's trading around 35 times forward earnings, but it's growing around 20 or 25%. And they tend to beat expectations, which always impresses me. They have 300 million subscribers or daily users. I'd have to look to confirm which it is. And while that sounds like a big number, when I think about the fact that Meta has over 3 billion daily users, it makes me think that while they're different, Netflix really does have a lot of room to be able to continue to grow. And here's why I think they could potentially be, I don't want to say recession proof, but recession resistant. So, my understanding is the least expensive platform is the one that's the most profitable for them. So, part of my theory is if people decide to not get rid of Netflix, but go for a less expensive option and drop down to the tier of the $7.99 option, I think they could end up being more profitable with their current subscriber base because they make more in advertisements than they do on the monthly payment. Well, it allows them to do more advertisements, even if things are slowing and they have to find more people to pay for the advertising because maybe the prices of the advertising actually drop. That's one of my theories. The other thing is that somebody mentioned to me, and I thought that was pretty intuitive as well, is if we have a slowdown, what an inexpensive way to find some entertainment if it's not something you already get. So maybe instead of going out to the movies once a week and maybe going to dinner or whatever it is that somebody's doing, if the economy gets worse or whatever you'd like to call it, because inflation continues and things get more expensive and jobs get tougher as well. Well, $20 a week or $20 a month may not be so awful for something that you can watch some movies, get a little TV, and have a little entertainment during a time where you have to be a little bit more cautious about what you spend. It also has been shown that Netflix has a huge amount of people who've canceled and then subscribe back up. So I just don't see them having huge amounts of people leaving the platform because the economy slows. I think there, excuse me, I think there are other things that people would get rid of first before getting rid of Netflix. Now, on a little bit of a probably political rant, but I don't know that it's really political. I saw that the government is thinking about cutting funding to Columbia University. I don't even understand why Columbia University or any private school would be getting federal funding anyway. A lot of these companies, forgive me, a lot of these colleges have huge endowments already. Why are the taxpayers helping to subsidize these schools? And I'm guessing a school like Columbia has really good lawyers who know how to take advantage of the government position and opportunities. You know, there's so many better places. And don't get me wrong, I mean, I donate to education. I think education is a really important place to be spending our money on. But I don't think it should be something that the government's supporting when it's a big university like Columbia. Now, my understanding is they're going to give them some guidelines and some things that they can do in order to get the funding back. But I'm guessing that means Harvard and Yale and Dartmouth and Princeton and all the others are getting tons of money from the government to help subsidize education that I don't know why it's necessary. Now, feel free in the comments to explain because maybe really legitimately I'm missing something, but they're charging the families $100,000 a year. What's the government adding on to their pile of cash? Like, what's the point? Is it actually helping education, or is it just continuing to fund these already profitable schools? It makes no sense to me. Again, it's not something I've delved into. I haven't read a zillion articles. It's just one of those things that doesn't really make sense to me as to why that's something that we as taxpayers are financing. Much more important things like Social Security and Medicare and the things that actually go back to the people in one form or another. And then for those of you who are interested about housing, it's been really interesting for me to see the prices here in Las Vegas because it seems like all of a sudden we're having some leg up to the upside. Despite the higher rates and the high prices, it appears to me like housing prices are starting to go higher again. I'm not sure what's causing it or why the push, but that sure seems to be the direction we've been going. The interesting thing is I've seen a lot of clients start to get into contract and scare themselves out, which actually makes me more bullish the housing market. If people are being careful and cautious, markets tend to continue. You know, what's the old saying, climbing a wall of worry? Well, I'm watching people who want to get into houses look at the price, look at the rate, look at the payment, and get nervous and rethink it. Now, I'm not trying to be tough on them, but I find typically when that happens, it tends to be a mistake and markets continue. Generally, when everybody's piling in because they're not nervous, is when I think a top is being made. And what I see now looks like we still have more room to go. Again, not financial advice. And to reiterate something, I don't really think a person's primary residence should be a financial, I don't want to say it's not a financial decision, because of course it is, but meaning you shouldn't be buying a house in hopes that the price of the home goes up. You should be buying a house because you love the area. If you have kids, you love the schools, and you want the security of owning. Because owning, when you add up all the repairs and everything else you have to pay attention to versus renting, might cost more. So it really has to be a pride in ownership and not an investment. If you're looking at an investment property, well, that's different. But for somebody's home, I don't know that I think of it as an investment the same way. And for those of you who watch Bitcoin, I hate to admit, that sure looked like a good bottom, a little below $80,000 per token or coin or whatever you want to call it. Again, totally not financial advice. Crypto is extremely volatile, but it looks scary. It retested a bunch of times. It hasn't gotten to the point where I'd say I'm comfortable that it's just going higher. But by the time I would, it would be already higher. So if somebody were looking to get long Bitcoin, I see this as a pretty good area. If it's a trade, if it got below that, what was it, like 77,000 number that it was at, I'd probably be getting at. Forget the echo, echo, echo. I hope you don't mind that I'm taking you guys on my walk. But otherwise, I'd just be waiting it out. And then, more important than any of it, I'll get to do what I love again. And we're going on vacation. We're going to do 6 nights, 5 days in Mexico City. So if any of you have been there, have some good advice, feel free to make a comment in the comment section. I've been watching all sorts of YouTubes on places to go and things to see. Excited to see the Architectural Museum. I really like museums. My wife and I have different things. She wants to go out and see some ruins, which she loves to do because she loves history like that. And we also want to go see the library there that looks pretty incredible, amongst other things. It looks like an amazing city, lots of green space and places to walk, a lot of traffic, and it looks like the food is amazing. You know, I really don't know what to expect in Mexico City. I've never been, which is part of why I'm so excited. And what I like is it's not so far away. So if we really enjoy it, it's a place we can go back to again and again. I've really heard great things about it. Again, if you guys have been and have some comments, by all means, feel free to make some comments in the comment section. I'd love to hear some suggestions of things to do. I don't know what that we'll get to it, as we don't have a ton of time there, but we really plan to make the most out of our time. Now, back to the markets. The way I feel now, it's retested those bottoms so many times. The news people are still talking about how the market's crashing, although it doesn't seem to be. There's still a lot of nervousness out there. I'm hoping that it's climbing a wall of worry in the market too, and that it has a tough time going back up. Now, of course, I'd love for it to go straight up and not be down as much as the account's down, but the better of a base that it makes and the tougher it is for it to go higher, the better that base is. And I still think we're going to close the year up pretty good on the year. I think this was, I hope, the best panic that we're going to see this year. Tell me what you guys think about that too. I'd be curious your thoughts. Was it panicky and scary for you also, or are you just the type of person that kind of enjoys the down moves because you have such a long time horizon that you see it as an opportunity to own more at a lower price? Which the reality is that's how we all should think. Like, what do they say? The stock market's one of the only places that when things go on sale, people go running for the doors. And the reason I shared that I sold is I want people to know that I'm not immune to it either. I'd like to think that I am. I think I see the markets pretty well, which is why I bought back in. And that I know if I stick with it over the long term, that I do real well. It's also, though, why I talk about a set it and forget it account that I don't even have access to, because I know. I know if I just stick with things for 10 years, I honestly believe that in 10 years, Amazon will be a bigger and better company than it is today. As will Google, as will Meta, as will Chevron, as will insert whatever name of a company that you guys like. And then, if you have a tough time picking, there's no reason not to just invest in VOO or two or three of similar type of ETFs and not even think about it. If I didn't want to try to outperform the market, and this is not sarcastic, I would probably put 100% of my investment money in VOO, and maybe I'd probably put some in QQQ. I know it kind of feels like you're only invested in two things, but VOO is 500 different stocks, and the QQQ is the entire NASDAQ as well. So you're pretty well diversified. You're overly focused in US companies, and some of them are going to overlap, but I want to be invested in the US markets. I know there's opportunity in international, but I hate to admit our capitalist society and the way that our number one thing is seems to be money more than anything else. I think it's a reason we might outperform other places. You know, a lot of countries, and this is a good thing in general, but they pay their employees better. They have better options for health care. They're less concerned with the growth of the company as opposed to making some money and doing well for the country and their employees and focusing on an overall good that a lot of companies here are just concentrating on profits and growth and helping the shareholders. So what sounds like a negative as an investment might be a better investment. Just my thoughts on it. Let me know what you guys think on that. Anyway, I think I've rambled enough. I hope you don't mind me taking you on the walks. It really makes it much easier for me to be able to manage my time. Part of why I haven't gotten to the videos. It's been hard to find time when I can do them. And by taking you guys on the walk, it allows me to get that done and do the video so that I don't have to find additional time. So before you go, if you could do me a favor, hit that thumbs up. What? No, no, no. hit that subscribe button, smash the like button, make some comments in the comment section. You don't know how much that I appreciate that and how much it helps the algorithm for YouTube. Have a great weekend if I don't have time to say hello.